There's a new proposal floating around Washington that could save some home sellers a small fortune in taxes. And if you've owned your home for a long time, especially here in Staten Island, Brooklyn, where values have truly exploded, you're going to want to understand this one. But don't get too excited yet because, as usual, always a big catch, right? So according to Bloomberg, Washington Examiner, Trump administration officials just floated the idea of cutting the capital gains tax that homeowners pay when they sell. Right now, here's how it works, right? When you sell your primary home, typically you can shield the first $250,000 of profit from taxes if you're single, or $500,000 if you're married. Anything above that, you would owe capital gains tax on. Those numbers have not changed since 1997, nearly 30 years, while think of a home price today as opposed to what it was in 1997. So think about that, what that means here. If you bought a house, Staten Island, Brooklyn, 30, 40 years ago for, say, $150,000, you sell it today for $900,000, $1 million, a big chunk of that profit can blow right past the exclusion and you could owe taxes on it. So that is exactly who this is aimed at. One of the officials called them empty nesters who have owned a home for decades and should not get hammered on the sale. The idea being floated is to raise that exemption dramatically. One version would exempt home sales of $2 million or less from capital gains entirely and index it to inflation so it keeps up going forward. I think that's genius. Now, we do have to pump the brakes here. This isn't a law. It's not even a formal proposal. It's officials talking on TV ahead of the midterm elections, which tells you that there is, of course, a political motive in play. For it to actually happen, it needs Congress to pass it, and experts are already saying that's extremely unlikely before November, if at all. So, don't go selling your house next week counting on just this. There is a real debate. Supporters say the exclusion has not moved since 1997, so raising it just catches up with decades of inflation, and it helps regular, long-time owners cash out their nest egg. Critics point out that most of the benefits would go to wealthier homeowners, since only about 10% of sellers even exceed the current exclusion today, and that one version could cost the government around $200 billion while the deficit is already massive. I don't know. I don't agree with that second point, because here in New York, that's most houses. So bottom line, it's not a done deal, but this is worth watching, especially if you are one of these long-time homeowners sitting on a big gain. I will say myself, I have 2 sellers that I met with in the last 2 or 3 weeks that want to sell, but they're going to owe a significant amount of money in capital gains tax, so they are choosing to stay put, choosing to stay in this bigger home that they no longer need, that they now, on their limited income that they now have to pay more in bills and landscaping and upkeep. So it's, unlock it, baby. Let them out. Let them out of the house.